Hello, my name is Alexander Morari, and I'm the founder of ITKeyMedia. You've tuned into our podcast about Central and Eastern European startups that are in pre-Series A stage. I'll be honest, last 2 weeks were not easy, and this is the beginning of the operation war conflict, bloody war by now already at the east of Poland, where we are based. And so today, I'm actually ready to get back on track with our podcasts. And I think there's we managed to invite a guest that I think might have an opinion about what's going on and impact on people's behaviors, moods, and lives as well in terms of psychological state and mental health of people involved or observing this. I hope to cover this later on. And our guest today is Brian E. Wallace, the co-founder of Calmsie. Okay, Calmsie specializes in digital therapeutics for mental health. In a nutshell, would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Brian, how do you unfold what your company is doing? But again, unfold this in a couple of sentences, just to understand the context.
Yeah, okay. So at Calmsie, we develop prescription-grade digital therapeutics for children's mental health. Now, if your users aren't familiar with the concept of digital therapeutics, I can quickly kind of describe that. And then I'll tell you a little bit about our solution and the problem that it solves and the benefits that it creates. So
could you please repeat again? Could you please repeat again? So this is digital
therapeutics. So imagine
digital therapeutics. Okay.
Yeah. So imagine going to the doctor, and as you leave, they give you a prescription for your medication as always. But he also says, oh, wait, here's a prescription code to download a certain app. It's going to help you with your recovery process. Well, that's a digital therapeutic. It's evidence-based, it's clinically tested software that can be downloaded to your device and used for a certain period of time to improve your outcomes. It's regulated by government authorities, so there's quality management systems in place, and best of all, it's reimbursable, so you don't have to pay out-of-pocket expenses for it. So it's covered by your insurance company or the National Healthcare Service. So
you sound like this is a US targeted, I mean, US-driven business already.
Right now, we are targeting the U.S. market, but they are starting to be introduced in Germany and other countries throughout the EU. Germany is the biggest one, the most popular one that a lot of startups within the European Union target. But we often find that as soon as you hit that market, the returns aren't as high as you would anticipate it. So you put a lot of money into it. And the returns are minimal. There's an advantage to going to a larger U.S. market.
So that's so again, you come to a doctor, and for your any mental health kind of issues and so on, you are prescribed an actual application.
Yeah, basically you're being prescribed an application. Yeah, so our aim is to use digital therapeutics to expand access to mental health care so that every child can get the high quality personalized care that they deserve. And we do this because the current traditional models that are in place just are falling short. So we'll use the US market, for example. So 20% of children there have a mental health disorder, but only 1 in 5 receives appropriate care. Now, this is in a population where there's a lot of health insurance and there's a lot of government assistance. So the problem is exacerbated by lack of access to care and specialist shortages. So we see that many children have to wait months just to talk to a therapist. And oftentimes the younger they are, the longer they have to wait. And COVID has really exacerbated that. And so we saw a need in the market. And so to bridge a gap between therapy sessions and to ease the burden on mental health workers, our digital therapeutics combine cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a traditional therapeutic approach, and it's a very effective therapeutic approach. And we combine that with conversational AI. So imagine it's a unique cartoon experience, and it involves real-time interactions with a state-of-the-art video bot. Now, the discussions center around stories that are told to the child and animated on the screen, and that heightens engagement. So imagine your child comes home, he turns on their device, he's watching a cartoon, and the cartoon suddenly starts talking to them about what they're seeing and what they're feeling. So it's this real engaging experience, and one that they enjoy returning to. And that's good because our interactive video bots guide them through a structured program. So like a 4-week program, let's say, to develop, it helps them develop instant rapport through storytelling, decision role-playing games and activities designed to provide therapeutic support. And it's personalized so that each child can have unique real-time conversations with teddy bears or the avatar that they put together of their choice. And that improves therapeutic outcomes.
Okay. A couple of questions right away. So you say it's personalized. What elements of this application can be personalized to a specific child, and based on what? I understand on diagnosis and so on, but then what is actually tailor-made for this specific child? I don't want to call this patient.
Yeah. So we've specifically designed the conversation so that whatever the child says, the avatar, the bot can respond to it accordingly. So just as you and I
this
are
I understand. No, this I understand. This is like technicalities. And as far as the content, does it mean you feed into the system? I mean, you feed into the database of possible responses or these guidelines or algorithm of interacting with the kid. You feed the details from what these kids like behavioral disorders or depression characteristics, idiosyncrasies. You somehow define that, feed into the system, and then the dialogues actually are based on specific diagnosis of this specific child, with this specific disorders.
So for example, our primary target group is children with mild to moderate anxiety or depression. And so based on their specific symptoms, we have specific modules that are effective. So that becomes slightly personalized, but based on the conversations that they're having, the responses can filter or can connect with the algorithm and bring up specific examples that are pertinent to that specific conversation. So
regular kind of human to bot kind of challenges, right? What you mean, it's also a regular conversation. So there's speech recognition and then guided bot, what should I say? Bot-driven kind of Turing process, right?
So like I said, it's a structured program. So there are fundamental elements or targets that you want to hit within that conversation in order to get them through an effective therapy process. But just based on their reaction, based on their responses, it can kind of tailor the needs to the child to get them through that. What's really interesting is we have the ability to read facial sentiment or read voice sentiment and facial facial analysis as well. So you can tell if the child's paying attention. You can tell if they're there or not. In front of the computer. You can tell if they're sad based on the patterns of their voices, etc. So and then those can kick in different algorithms that guide them through the process of recovery.
I'm just thinking out loud. Does the application react somehow at the back end, signaling to the doctors or medical staff who's like observing that there's the contrast or dissonance between what the kid says and facial expression? I'm just wondering. Do you cover these cases as well of contrast?
That's an interesting.
They may be old enough to try and hack the system, but it's sometimes difficult to hack, facial expression, especially if they think nobody's watching, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the interesting things about we've had these conversations before in terms of what information can you feed to a physician and stuff. But with the digital therapeutic, you're not supposed to provide a lot of feedback to the physician. It's a therapeutic device on its own, or it's software on its own, so it doesn't communicate. If you were to communicate with the physician, it'd be a different class of software. And there'd be different
regulations. I understand, right? Oh, that's a discovery. So I just realized. So we okay. But if this is a set of pills and I prescribe pills and I'm taking those pills and there's something wrong, maybe bad reaction, allergy or whatever, I get back to my doctor with this feedback loop. But that's on my own accord. And let's say, and what about the child? If there's anything that doesn't work, they still are not in contact with the doctor, right? Who prescribed.
But we do have safety measures in place. Say, for example, a child describes hurting themselves or harming themselves in some way, or if they're suicidal.
Red flag.
Any sort of red flag event will kick them out of the program as it is, then it will get them the help that they need. So there are links to parent apps as well that will be alerted. So there are systems in place to protect the child.
Yeah. Okay. So with kids, and by the way, what about the ages? Who do you think are the, should I say, easiest, or let's say most effective? Yeah, ages. Let's say
Yeah,
most effective. What age ranges are most effective?
For us, we target 8 to 12-year-olds, and that's kind of one of our standout points. There aren't a lot of companies that are targeting pediatric mental health right now, but the ones that do exist and the ones that are using CBT basically look at adolescents in chat-based therapy. So, but ours is ours. We can talk about competition a little bit later, and I'll give you our standout points.
Yes, one. Next. I'm driving you to a place where I think it's getting more and more difficult. Yeah, okay. Wait for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So then what I mean, put in give me a ranking of what devices are most preferable for this like standalone digital therapeutics programs, as a matter of fact. I mean, phone, tablet, computer, yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to use an app like this, you would basically use it on, say, for example, a large smartphone or an iPad or something like that. You can use it on a desktop. I think that's also effective. But our primary target, we imagine, holding their parents' tablet, and they're doing the work on it, the therapeutic work, each day for about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the program that they're involved in.
Okay. And here's here's this loop that I wanted to make. And now, aren't some of the disorders result of overly used or or exposing, you know what I mean? Exposing kids to like too much of a interaction with any electronics and screen devices. Yeah.
Well, now you've hit on my area of expertise, which is I'm actually I have a medical doctorate, but I'm also a PhD in internet-based addictions. Now that is an argument within that academic group of researchers. Does the depression come first, or does the device use come first? Well, in this case, we're not actually using the device in a problematic way. We're using it in a therapeutic way. And we're using it in an engaging way. So we do use it for the advantage of the child to work through issues of depression, issues of anxiety. In this specific case, they're not usually when there is a problematic source, it's usually due to an app like gaming or too much social media or
with all those attention engineering, right?
Yeah, and that does actually have an influence on their mood and behavior. But in this case, we're using it in an effective treatment. I
can help you. You could say always that yes, but in this case, we're using this in the homeopathic way.
Yes. Okay, it sounds good. I'll start using that, or allopathic way. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And look, let's make a jump to the side. And what I wanted to ask you, at a more general level, okay? Would you agree that with the advances of, yes, I prepared this question, okay, right before this podcast. Let me just read it. Would you agree?
You're actually the first person who. Sorry to interrupt. You're actually the first person who's asked me about the depression and the use of technology, which I think is a very insightful question.
Brian, because I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert, but I'm an interested non-expert. So and I really got engaged while I'm involved and engaged in the topic while preparing for this. So get that, Brian. Would you agree
I'm looking forward to the next one.
That with the advances of computer neurology, human neurology starts to lose ground under its feet, so to say. And the more computers are used, and especially with kids, the less should I say, the less focused they can be, and the less, the worse, I mean, how to say this? Oh, now I'm losing my English. Now, and so the thinking process is less structured, less logical, fuzzy, and full of pieces of puzzle, not often like, coming into a whole picture. You know what I mean? My own experiment, when we started to limit, what she was 15 years old or so, we started to limit phone time. There are apps for that as well. And okay, in the beginning, it was like, it was like a drug addict. How do you say this in English? Like this process of getting out of addiction.
Yeah,
withdrawal. Yeah, it was like withdrawal period. Okay, 1 week, and of course we were the worst parents on the planet and so on.
Yeah.
I stood my ground. Brian, you cannot imagine, like 2 weeks after this experiment, and of course my wife said, "You're cruel. You don't love your child." Da da da. I said, "No. Let me take it to the end." Brian, 2 weeks later, and my kid opens the door to my flat and welcomes me with this. Daddy, you wouldn't believe. I resolved a math problem myself, and the solution is on the whiteboard with the markers that we have at home, right? Come, I will show you. Imagine my reaction. Ooh, that's something.
So,
okay.
Yeah, she's coming engaged back. In living again.
Developments, coming back. Advances of computer neurology influences in a bad way human neurology on a global level.
On a global level, I disagree. I think that if you look at the studies, you'll see that it's 1 to 26% of the users of internet-based apps or of these types of devices that are affected by it. So a majority of users can be connected 40 to 60 to 80 hours a week, and they never have any sort of negative outcomes in their lives. It's only certain people who are predisposed to these sorts of things, or who become vulnerable to problematic use, that this starts to affect. So say, for example, that 1 to 26% is a broad range. And the reason why it's so broad is because there are no specific gold standard instruments to measure this. So you look at people who are vulnerable in a way that they have poor coping skills, so they get really stressed. So what do? They turn to internet-based products, and they start to use in a problematic way. And it really doesn't become a problem for them until it starts to affect their lives in a negative way. So it can affect their relationships, their productivity, their home life, their work-life balance as well. So, but in terms of a majority of the people being affected by this, it's not. It's statistically proven.
It's like, somebody said, if you know how to use statistics, you always win.
Yeah, exactly. I once heard what is it? A politician uses statistics like a drunk uses a lamppost for support, not illumination. And,
yes, good one. Okay.
So I think, I think. No, but based on what we see, especially in the child population, using a device for this therapeutic way is an actually extremely engaging way, and it helps to promote thought. It helps to promote analysis of their feelings, their behavior, and their thought processes. And when you can get them engaged like that and really thinking about things like this, they can have moments of epiphany where they actually make a really good shift in their mentality, or the way they're responding to certain situations. And that's the advantage of CBT, and that's an advantage of delivering it in an engaging way, like we do.
CPT?
It's a cognitive behavioral therapy. Yeah.
Okay. And so from these observations about the global, the state of global mental health, let's get back, go down, to the earth and discuss some business realities.
Okay.
Now, as far as the product, is the product being marketed? And then, like, how's the business development part? Who are your key clients? Not the users, right? The clients. Customers. And let's start with this.
Okay, right now we have our product designed and functioning.
Yeah.
We've got an iteration of the product that's in full working order. We're not targeting consumers just yet. We're trying to create strategic partnerships with, say, for example, drug companies to help us distribute this solution. Also with healthcare providers, especially pediatric mental health care providers, and organizations such as health insurance companies in the United States. When they see the advantages that these solutions have, both economically and outcome oriented, they see that it's quite an attractive product to introduce. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wait, okay. So I understand insurance companies, they are kind of a referee of the app and your products, right? But they cannot be the users. So that means if they approve and endorse, then they will take them, they will what? They will refer you to their customers, right? Of insurance policies.
Yeah, if you're dealing with insurance companies like that in the US, they often, once that you get the nod of approval from them, they give you the access and the reimbursement, basically, or they allow the access and the reimbursement. So they're kind of the gatekeepers in a way for US healthcare system.
Yeah, okay, I understand this. Now, and as far as other types of partnerships, do you have partnership with doctors or how to say healthcare providers, private or public? Who do you prefer?
Right now we're in the process of developing all of these. We have several pronged approach to getting mass adoption of our product. The first one is to educate physicians. And that's going to be a slow burn, if you will. So we have to do a lot of publications. We have to appear in a lot of different seminars and talks, and really educate the physicians about the advantages of using digital healthcare products or digital therapeutic products. Right now, it's a curiosity, and a lot of them are like, "Hey, I've heard about this. Tell us a little bit more about it." And the more information we have to support it through our research projects, et cetera, the more they're going to be willing to engage and prescribe these therapeutic solutions on your device. So we also are going to do a direct-to-consumer viral marketing campaign where it's going to tell a little bit about what our products can offer, and then ask your doctor about. These can be highly effective. And this is one of the most effective ways to get the public to know about your product. And with that said, we also are trying to develop partnerships with different pharmaceutical firms. Right now, we're in an accelerator with Roche. We're making a lot of different contacts within the company there. That could be a potential. We also have other pharmaceutical companies that we've talked to as well through there. Yeah, so different approaches for a novel concept. It's so new. I think there are only like less than 30 or 40 of them out there right now that are approved for reimbursement in the United States. So the concept is so new that you really do have to do a broad education for physicians, for mental health workers, even for companies to understand what these are in order to get them adopted.
Yeah. As far as business, and I wanted to ask about the pricing. A typical application and a typical you mentioned 4-6 weeks course and a program, right? How much it would cost?
It depends on the specific therapeutic device. On ours, I can't give you our prices right now. But they range anywhere from about $299 for the app, all the way up to a little bit less than $2,000. So they can be quite expensive, but they can be highly effective, and a good alternative to pharmaceutical therapy as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
In many cases.
The less chemicals get inside, the better, but surely. Give me one or two reasons why at the upper level the programs that you are going or you're selling reach the price tag of $2,000? Like, what makes it, you know what I mean? Like, what makes it so expensive compared to those $299?
Let's see. I think that if you're looking at an upper level one like that, I'm sure there's a lot of software development that goes into it. There may be wearables that are associated with it as well. It depends on the specific program. So I know that there are a lot of diabetes management ones that are quite expensive, and those are usually life-saving applications that require intensive engagement and also give you really positive rewards.
Okay, so as far as expansion, you go right at US markets right now, and I understand from what you say, competition is not that strong yet, and
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
entry barriers, as far as the market entry barrier is, they are not too high yet, but as far as the product, like getting ready with getting the product done and ready for marketing, this is still a huge challenge.
Okay. Yeah, it takes about 2 years to put a product out on the market. So and that's like a quick estimate. That's like if everything falls into place perfectly for us. So right now there are few companies that are addressing children's mental health. But we've seen since we've entered this market that number is starting to grow. There are three worth noting through this conversation. The first one is Akili, the second one is Cognoa, and then there's a company named Limbix, and I'll get to that one in a couple of minutes. So Akili develops prescription treatment for ADHD, and they deliver that through a video game, and that's reimbursable. It's something that physicians will prescribe, and it helps the child to really bless you. It helps the child to really improve their attention span. Now, Cognoa is trying to provide the market with a tool to diagnose and treat autism. And both Akili and Cognoa raised significant funding rounds. In fact, I think Akili just recently brokered a deal that will potentially put their worth at over $1 billion. So it's there's huge market potential there. So while the market for adult mental health is increasingly competitive, I think the last we counted, it was 250 different companies are dealing with mental health in some way. However, there are only about 10 platforms that are dedicated to children, and no platforms that are using video bot agents like we're using. So, and even though anxiety and depression constitutes about 40% of mental health disorders in children, only Limbix is developing solutions in this space, but they're targeting adolescents. So, so we differentiate ourselves from the competition by focusing, like I said, on children ages 8 to 12. And that's what they call middle childhood. And in addition, our solution develops rapport instantly with the child, and it's extremely interactive and engaging. So, so we focus on a younger age, we establish rapport, we have the video bot agent, we're engaging, we're interactive, we focus on depression and generalized anxiety, and we're CBT based. So
you're actually you decided to deal with how to say mid-child life crisis situation.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But the funny thing is, when we do these pitches, because we're in our funding rounds right now, and we do pitches to a lot of people who have children, and it's really interesting to see that we do connect on a very deep level with a lot of people who are parents, because their children may be going through this, or they know a friend of a friend who's going through anxiety and depression. You don't really think about it in children, but like I said, it's 40% of mental health disorders are generalized anxiety or depression in children. And so it is a problem that if we can solve, can really create an impact. As a physician, one of the interesting things you see is when I've got an adult with depression or an adult with generalized anxiety disorder, a lot of times I'm trying to help them manage it effectively. And you consider it a success if you're able to kind of reduce everything and let them live a normal and healthy life.
Okay.
When you get them at such a young age and you're able to really teach them incredible coping skills, it really changes the game for these children. and it really allows them to really thrive and to really, really explore their own interests and really start living a life that they enjoy, that isn't crippled by anxiety or depression. And so I think we really are creating a solution that does have a valuable impact on their lives.
So while the psyche is still malleable, right?
Mm-hmm. The formative years, yeah.
Formative years, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that one of the things is that when you see a lot of these, like we said earlier with the internet usage, a lot of people with poor coping strategies turn to certain behaviors that can cause depression or anxiety, or certain behaviors perpetuate depression and anxiety. And so when you use cognitive behavioral therapy to kind of help the person establish their own ways to cope in a healthy way, then they can really have much better outcomes.
Zillion of questions, but we need to move on.
Yeah, no worries.
By now we covered 2 rounds already, the product in general detail, but also specific things as well. Thanks a lot. And we covered also competitors. Achille, Cogno, Olympics, you said, and I think you also mentioned where you see your competitive edge, right? So age-wise, age, right? So
the age, the video bot, the instant rapport, the extreme interactive cases.
So in a nutshell, the therapeutic computer games that you're creating are helping kids improve their life games. Yeah?
I think so. I think it helps them improve their approach to certain problems and situations in life. It gives them a structured way of approaching certain situations that they may find challenging.
It's smart as well. You focus on the niche, I mean, on an age range where they're, they are old enough to be aware of what's going on, but not old enough to turn on their critical part of minds.
Right. They're able to suspend belief and really connect with an avatar. And that's a real unique not selling point, but it's a real unique aspect of our solution. There have been a lot of research studies on how children can connect with avatars, and so that allows them to really talk about their feelings. I always say in our pitches, when I have a little bit of gray hair, I'm bald, if I'm wearing my white coat, no kid really wants to tell me about their feelings. But say, for example, they choose an avatar that, is a superhero, they're going to definitely talk to them about what they're feeling and what they're thinking.
There's a huge shortcut in the whole therapeutical process, right?
Yeah, it's that rapport, and part of the first 2 weeks of therapy in many cases, or even longer, can be just team building or building that rapport, building that trust with a child. And when they're able to create the avatar and choose the voice, choose the way it looks and everything like that, they have some ownership in it. And they can also start to externalize their feelings when they start to discuss them. And so it really gives them a really good tool to kind of think about things in an abstract way and discuss them.
I mean, choosing a stance before this podcast, I thought, okay, maybe I will use it kind of as a crusade about somebody who's creating computer games to improve, kids who might have problems due to computer games or overexposure, right? And so on.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to change my mind and change my position as well. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Round 3, very quick Q&A here.
Okay.
What productivity hacks can you share with us as a co-founder of a company?
Okay, so I'm getting older, so I'm 50 now. Yeah, I'm 50 years old now. So my lifestyle and all my productivity hacks that worked up to about 48, 49 years old aren't working anymore. So as a doctor, when I was doing my training and stuff, we were doing 36-hour days. And that carried into my business life. So, but as you get older, you kind of have to pick and choose when you're going to allow yourself that sort of marathon work period like that. So I pretty much work constantly, and there's no real inspiration regarding when and where I work. That was when you guys sent me the outline, like, what are your productivity hacks for when and where you work? I don't really have any. I constantly work, but I do notice that late at night is when I'm most creative. So I try to take advantage of that. I still have to operate during business hours to take care of our medical team and everything like that. So I do have a few hacks that kind of help to elevate my energy. I try to stay hydrated. My diet is largely plant-based, and with the help of the other founders, I tend to get real excited about new ideas. Like, oh, we could do that, because they told me when I joined on, they're like, yeah, if you can think it, we can create it. We're programmers, we can do that. And so I have these amazing ideas all day long, and I'm like, hey, and then we could do this. But they have found that my productivity hack is getting me back on track. And focusing
Brian,
on, go ahead.
You said you're based in London. I just came from London, and so paraphrasing the tube phrase, let me just wait for it. So your case is see it, see it, say it, do it.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. So I see it, I say it, I do it. No, but so basically what we found is that I need to focus on things that are driving the needle for the company. So if I'm not focusing on something like that, I have to bring it back. Sorry about this. My earphones fall off every now and then.
Yeah.
I have to bring it back to either strategy or value-based design. So I try to focus my efforts in helping patients, helping the doctors, helping the payers, and improving patient outcomes. And that's my driving force. And so that's my biggest hack is when you find your mind wandering, focus on the basics, focus on why you're really there.
Wait. Focus on the basics or on the most important here and now, or for the long run, for the long-term benefit?
Yeah, for me, the basics are strategy and value-based approach. So that's but those are also the things that really drive the needle. And in doing that, we've niched down. We've gone from trying to initially go into the adult market. And then we realized, hey, there's a need in the pediatric market here.
Okay.
We also came up with our solutions that way as well, just through conversation, really focusing on what the doctors need, what the patients need, etc. So, and I think there was a question in there about the hacks about what programs you use the most as well.
Let me just correct. Let me just add, yes. What unique or exotic tools, apps, programs have helped you most or most recently?
Have you ever heard of Miro? Miro?
Mm-hmm.
It's Miro. It's no. Basically a program where you can kind of design mind maps and different things like that.
Oh,
well,
okay.
whenever I do any of the chatbots, the basics for the medical conversations, I use Miro, and it's a really good application for that. They gave us a startup deal when we contacted them. And so we've got all access to the entire program. Our team of developers and the UX designers go on there, and that's basically where I communicate with them, and they really help me to kind of tweak what we're doing. So it's extremely valuable for medical writing and different things like that, like I do.
Interesting. And also they have a collaboration feature and whatnot. Okay, and that's only for mind mapping exercises?
No, I think there are other different templates that you can use as well.
Templates, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a little plug, guys. Miro. Wait, what's that? Miro.com.
Yeah. That to me, that's been quite invaluable. I'm one of these old school guys, so anytime they introduce new technology to me, I kind of fight it, and then I have to learn it, and then I adopt it, and I'm still one of those guys that's like, hey, this email is really going to catch on.
Fight it, learn it, adopt it.
Yes, exactly. Much like the tube system. Yeah.
Good. Thanks. Let's move on, Brian. Now, round 4. A little bit about the company. Let me just go through the core team. Brian Wallace, vast experience as a doctor yourself, and many years in Lublin, right? In clean PhD, and let's call him in a nutshell a medical guru. Marcin Waryszak, Mateusz Masiak, Gabriela Zdunek, Marek Masiak, Weronika Czaplewska, I understand. So all the brainy guys, I understand, are at the steering wheels of the company. When so many scientific, when so many, let's say, like clever people get together, does it help, or you need somebody to be less clever but more ready to take risks, or?
Well, I think we all kind of bring our own sense of clever to the company, and we all kind of know when to back off and let one lead versus the other. And I think that's one of the cool attributes of our team. For example, Marcin is our COO, and he is a logistical magician. I mean, he can get anything done. On a daily basis, he really helps us operate smoothly. Mateusz kind of leads the process. He's in charge of not only our R&D, but he's also in charge of contacting potential investors and kind of leading all the projects. He helps to he takes care of our technical team, etc. And then we have Marek, who's our CTO. He kind of oversees all the the technical aspects of design, etc. So I think everybody's got their niche. We don't really, there's no really, there's no fighting saying, hey, let's take it in this direction. Hey, let's go in this direction. I think we have a pretty clear direction of where the company is going and how we need to get there. And I think that's through a lot of open conversation, and I think really good leadership on Mateusz's behalf as well.
And as far as co-founding team, 3 guys, right? Brian, Marcin, and Mateusz.
That's the core operating team right now. But we also have Marek Masiak, who's CTO, and Gabriela Zdunek. She's our chief research officer. Yeah, so it was a five-member team that started. So.
Okay. Yeah, and the rest of the team is on the technical and mouse and keyboard breakers, right?
We've got quite an extensive technical team. I think right now we've got over 10 workers right now, and we're expanding as we need to. I think right now we're looking for a front-end developer. Yeah.
Okay, and now are you hiring right now, by the way?
Yeah, front-end developer.
Oh, just one front-end. Okay.
Yeah,
and
we.
And people who want to apply, they will find this on your website, I understand, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's move on. Now, round 5, last not least, Formula F3, funding for the future.
Okay.
So tell us in a nutshell your funding history by now, current situation. You mentioned you are in a funding process right now.
Yeah.
And
okay.
let's start with the history by now.
Okay, so far we paid for everything ourselves through a combination of our own money, a consulting revenue for some projects that we did in the past, and then various grants. Overall, to get us to the point where we are now, it's cost us around $250,000 US. So we're currently in a seed round, and I can't go into specifics about how much we're raising. But obviously, a project of this scale is costly, with clinical studies, quality assurance benchmarks, and the FDA approval process. So whatever funding we raise in our seed round will go towards improving the current product. It'll also go towards the clinical trial and the FDA approval.
Yeah, all the procedures and approvals. Okay. Let me ask then from another side. How much do you think it would cost to get FDA approvals?
It's an expensive process. It depends really on the evaluation that you get as you go into that process. We're going to be putting up money to pay an expert to kind of help guide us through this process. And depending on if you're if you're a breakthrough product, it'll be one set of fees. If you're not, if there's a predicate device, there's another set of fees that you would pay. So
No. Be
it's
specific.
hard to say.
If you have a breakthrough, if you have a breakthrough device, this would be more expensive or less expensive?
Breakthrough device, I think it's quite expensive in the process, but the big thing that you have to pay for is the validation studies for the US, because it's got to be large enough to show significance, and it has to be thorough enough to show safety and efficacy.
Different states, geographies, ethnicities, and so on and so on. Oh,
yeah.
wow. And
so
in your case,
we're looking at it's several $1 million to do a clinical trial in the United States.
So I got a figure from you. Thank you. And now, anyways,
it's a very expensive process.
And now, and how long you think it would take or could take, like a range?
Ideally, you look at around 2 years to go to market at the stage that we're at right now.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's why even if you do start to see competition on this, in this field, you realize that it's a race to get to the market. And we're quite advanced in our process.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, Brian Wallace here from Calmsie. Really great conversation. I feel we could go on for a couple of hours more. And let me just finish with this. Brian mentioned he's getting older, but I feel after our conversation that he's getting older and older, but feeling younger and younger. And somewhere in the middle of the conversation, you also shared your idea how to stay so. Wish all the best. I think that's a very good idea, to try and help kids with their mental health issues and problems using the tools that are potentially most effective in interaction with them.
Yeah, thanks, Alexander.
Thank you very much, Brian. All
really
the best,
nice
good luck
talking
and
to you.
success. We'll be following your successes in the meantime.
Thank you very much. It's great talking to you. Take care.